What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back for some more match preview streams for you guys as Tottenham face Aston Villa. 2 o'clock kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday, New Year's Day. So, any New Year's resolutions from you, Sim?
New Year's resolutions? Good question. New Year's resolutions for me? I haven't thought about it. Put me on the spot a bit. I don't know. Many, probably too many.
Too many to talk about. But I think there's definitely needs to be some New Year's resolutions from Daniel Levy and the club, that's for sure, which we'll obviously get into in a bit later on with the Tottenham update and everything. But we are focusing on the Aston Villa game today. It's a really important game. There's no two ways about it. Aston Villa coming into this rejuvenated under Unai Emery, albeit they did lose in their game back against Liverpool. Spurs stuttering along at the moment, really. We just can't afford to keep going 1-0 down, 2-0 down, and keep trying to claw our way back into games. I mean, what? I can't put my finger on what is actually happening in games, because you see such good sides to Tottenham every single game, but equally you just see such bad sides to Tottenham, and it's just like, how do we stamp this out of our game?
And you don't know what's the real Tottenham. Is the real Tottenham the one that gets penned back at the beginning of games and is under pressure and ends up usually conceding the first goal? Or is it the one that we see in the second half that shows character, that dominates possession, that creates lots of chances and ends up getting back in the game? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is at the moment, but Kulusevski's been banging the drum about how it's not good enough how we're starting games, and it's not how we're intending to start games, and it's not a game plan like maybe some people have been suggesting, start slow and then maybe to conserve energy or whatever. It's very, very difficult to put your finger on. He said if we knew why we were doing it, then we would stop doing it immediately, but it's more complicated than that. That's the reality. So Conte needs to get to grips with why this is happening.
What could it be down to, though? Like, what could the issues be? Because how hard is it to stay? We're going to start the game fast, strong, go at it. Why can't they just pretend they're 1 or 2-0 down from the off?
Great question. I mean, it's not. Look, clearly playing in Premier League football is never easy, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Of course.
But why? But this team have shown that they're capable. That they can play good football. They can dominate possession when they need to. It's almost as if they're just scared at the beginning. They don't know how to approach games. Whether they're going they're for some reason trying to keep things tight, maybe trying to protect the defence because they're scared that the defence isn't good enough. And then all of a sudden, when we're 1-0 down, it's like, okay, we know what we have to do now. We're just gonna go forward, we're going to throw caution to the wind, we're going to get players in the opposition half. Or is it the opposition that is dictating things? Are they pressing us high? Are they forcing us back? And then once they get ahead, they drop deep and allow us back in the game. There's two ways of looking at it. I'm not really sure which one it is, and I'm not sure the management know which one it is either at the moment.
Well, sooner rather than later, we need to stamp this out of our game, because when games come around, like the Bournemouths, the Brentfords, teams in the bottom half, we're more than capable of turning it around. But it's the problem when we play the teams in the top 6 and the teams that are in and around us. We just can't seem to turn those games around. Obviously, it's Villa this weekend, so it's not going to be an easy game. But I do suspect if we do go 1-0 down early, we can turn it around. It's one of those games that it's possible to do. But when you're looking at the form of the two sides coming into it, you've got Tottenham in the last 5 games, 2 draws, 2 wins and a loss. You've got Aston Villa on 2 losses, a win. 3 losses, a win and a draw. If you can you bring up the form graphic? You got Aston Villa scoring 5, conceding 9 in their last 5 games. You got Spurs 11 goals scored, 8 conceded. I mean, 8 conceded in their last 5 games. That is nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough. But Spurs coming into this with fairly good home form, with 2 wins, 2 draws and a loss. Villa, on the other hand, not such great away form. But a lot of those games were not under Unai Emery. And how do you assess Villa since they've maybe changed to Unai Emery?
Big improvement, more organised, a lot harder to beat, a lot harder, in my opinion, to break down when the opposition had the ball. They seem to have more of a system in place now under Unai Emery. I think Gerrard struggled to get the balance right between the players on the pitch, having two strikers, having Philip Coutinho and Buendia there as well, having wingers like Bailey in the squad. He didn't quite know how to deal with it. He didn't know what he wanted. He kind of wanted everything. He wanted to kind of have his cake and eat it too. He wanted them all on the pitch. And it left him far too open in the back. He added, sometimes he would play a diamond with 3 centre mids, and they would be far too open on the wings because their wing fullbacks weren't good enough to dominate the wide areas. And I think Unai Emery now, it's early days, but I think they've won 2 of the 3 games he's taken charge. So they have to be optimistic that they have a manager who knows what he's doing. He's got European pedigree. He had a good time at Villarreal and Sevilla. And I think, give him the tools, he will make Villa into a good side. Whether they'll be good enough under his tenure to break the top 6 remains to be seen. It's very, very difficult to do that. But Unai Emery has shown to be a very good tactical manager who is always, look what he did with Villarreal last season, getting them to the Champions League semi-final. Really good achievement that was for them. And I think he's going to make Villa very organised, very resolute. And when they do go forward, when they have the chances to get forward on counters, and they're going to have more set patterns than they did under Steven Gerrard. And under Gerrard, I feel like it never really worked. And I think he's going to get them into a system they all understand and they can all get better at. And playing the 4-4-2 like he did at Villarreal, I think is probably the best way. And I think he's right when he went in terms of not playing Coutinho. I think that's the right decision, in my opinion, because first of all, I don't think he's that good anymore. And second of all, I don't think in Unai Emery's system he has a natural position.
A lot of Spurs fans were laying into the club for not getting Coutinho, not getting a Leon Bailey. Do you think that's now been justified, seeing how they've been at Villa?
Leon Bailey, I don't know who was going mad at us not getting Leon Bailey, but Coutinho, I never wanted him. I think that was the right decision to not go for him. And I think it's turned out exactly how I thought it would turn out at Aston Villa. 100% it's justified not getting those 2 players. Coutinho was never going to be a great signing for Villa. He's been a player who in spurts can show moments of quality, but on a consistent basis will more often than not let you down. And that's exactly what's happened. And now it's no surprise that the rumours are that he's going to be out the door. They're looking to sell him already, potentially even on a free. So it's been let's be honest, pretty much a disaster. Gerrard's been sacked who signed him. He's now out of the team, and he might be gone within a year. And they signed him permanently in the summer as well for like 20 million.
Have you seen the back and forth? Well, not the back and forth, but the comments made by Unai Emery on Emi Martinez in the Villa goal. I mean, I don't even know if it's comments made, but there's been a few rumours floating around from Unai Emery not being happy with Emi Martinez, what he showed at the World Cup in terms of his shithousery and mentality and stuff like that. Do you read too much into that in terms of maybe Spurs maybe looking at him?
I don't know if that will mean that Spurs are going to get him. He did make some comments in his press conference last week. And he said about his celebrations, he said it's something he's going to have to talk to him about. People can read whatever they want into those comments. I don't think it's way too early to suggest that because of those comments, he's now going to want Martinez to leave and Spurs are going to go for him and going to get him. I think that's jumping to way too many conclusions. But maybe there is something in the air there with how Martinez reacted. And if Unai Emery doesn't appreciate maybe a lack of professionalism or whatever he's thinking in terms of Martinez's reaction to the World Cup. But
does stuff like that bother you? Like
no.
in a case of if Spurs were to sign him, is that anything against him, or you don't really care about that whatsoever?
I don't care. He's won a World Cup. I mean, he's entitled to be on top of the world and to push the boat out a bit. And Mbappe's a big boy; he can take it. You know what I mean? He's not going to be crying at night because Martinez had a picture on him on a doll or whatever it was. Like, it is what it is. He's won a World Cup in 2018. Like, I'm sure he'll be gutted he didn't win the final, but I don't think it's going to affect him. And I think Martinez, emotions are high after such a big achievement for his country. And he celebrated a lot. And I don't think, for me, it doesn't bother me whatsoever.
Fair enough. Looking at the head-to-head between Spurs and Aston Villa, last 5 Premier League games, 4 wins and a loss, with that loss coming right at the end of the season last year in a 2-1 loss. Looking at the head-to-head, obviously we have had quite big success against Villa since they've come back into the Premier League. But how different is this one going to be under Unai Emery? Probably the best manager they've had since coming back in the Premier League.
Very different philosophies as well. These are under Dean Smith and Steven Gerrard we faced. If you remember the game at Villa Park last season, we won 4-0, but we could have easily been 4-1 down in the first half. Hugo Lloris really kept us in that game, and we ended up winning 4-0. And if you think about it, if you get that performance and get a bit more organisation in the back line and maybe a bit more luck in front of goal, that's what Unai Emery is going to coach into them. And look, obviously we're at home, so the fans are going to be on our side, and the pressure's going to, hopefully, our home form's been pretty good this season. So you would think that hopefully it means that Villa are not going to be as much on the front foot as they were maybe in that game at Villa Park. But they have the tools. Bailey, Watkins, Ings, good players. And if you allow them too much time and space and to get good quality, the main thing is you allow them to get good quality delivery into the front players, especially with how our centre-backs are playing at the moment, we're in big trouble. And we could easily concede goals. Also, we got the tools to hurt them going the other way, and I really believe their defence can definitely be got at. I don't think their defence is that strong, especially personnel-wise. I think structurally-wise, it has improved and will improve more under Unai Emery. But going forward, you just got to be very wary because they got really good forward players, and under a structured system like Unai Emery has, if they can get the forward players involved as much as possible and keep that defensive structure, it's going to be difficult to play against.
Yeah, it will be, and it kind of, when you look at the way Spurs are playing their football over the past season, to be honest, when you look at how Unai Emery likes to set up his teams, he's obviously defensive first, and he's always brings a good defensive structure to the team. So
very compact.
Yeah, very compact team. So if we do go 1-0, 2-0 down early, it's going to be so hard for us to get back into this game, as opposed to maybe when you look at the back end of before the break when we got back against Leeds in the 4-3 game, or the Bournemouth game, or even the Brentford game last week.
Yes and no. I think they've shown to be quite compact against Man United and against Brighton, and they
did concede 4 goals to Man United in the cup game, didn't they?
Yes, after being 2-1 up as well, they lost 4-2, and then obviously they lost 3-1 to Liverpool, where they did concede quite a few chances. There's 2 drawbacks to being compact and defensively resolute. There's 2 ways of looking at it. Yes, they're going to be harder to break down, but on the flip side, you also envisage if they go 1-0 down, they're going to drop back into their defensive shape and they're going to drop deep, and that will give us more time and space, and we have quality to hurt them, especially if we can get really out wide, which is if they're compact, if we can get the pitch as wide as possible, especially if they're going to place people like Ashley Young at fullback. I think that would be a recipe for disaster for them if they allow us to dominate possession, in my opinion.
And that just proves how important Heung-min Son and Kulusevski are going to be in this game. And Heung-min Son, I've seen a lot of people talking about how poor he was against Brentford. In my opinion, I thought he was one of our most dangerous players going forward in the game, and I thought he played a fairly good game. I thought he was even better than Kulusevski. Even Kulusevski had an assist and had a few moments during the game, fair enough. But I thought Sonny was looking fairly sharp, especially in that second half. Yes, in the first half, he was holding on to the ball for a bit too long and always looking to run through the heart of the midfield and the defence, and maybe holding on to the ball for a bit too long. But I thought he played well in that second half, and Kulusevski also grew into the game second half. So how important are those 2 players going to be for us?
Massively, and because coming into the wide areas and especially playing in those little pockets in between the centre back and the wing back, they're going to be vitally important to creating space. And when they do pick up the ball in those tight areas, they need to make something happen. They need to pass a move or beat a player. Especially, I think Kulusevski in those areas. He's so good in those areas because he's very quick, nimble, but he's also very strong, doesn't get shoved off the ball too easily. So they're going to be mightily important, especially if Aston Villa are sitting deep and they're trying to frustrate us. they're going to be the players either when, if we get it to the wing back, they need to be getting in the box and being a threat in the box, or if they're getting the ball to feet outside the area, they need to be picking out little passes, getting shots on goal, and making things happen. And they're going to be two very, very important players in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. If you bring up the predicted lineup for Aston Villa, 4-4-2. Emi Martinez has been, well, was it Emre confirmed in his press conference that he's going to be playing?
Well,
right?
the assumptions are that he's going to be ready for contention. I don't think he's confirmed it in a press conference, but I'm pretty sure that that's the journalists are reporting that he's expected to return.
So Emi Martinez in goal, a back four, which will be the same back four which they played against Liverpool, with Ashley Young right back, Luca Dean left back, with Conte and Mings in the middle. The only change that we've gone for is Danny Ings to come in for Kamara, and to move Danny Ings up top, Bailey onto the wing, with Buendia on the other side, with Douglas Luiz and McGinn in the middle, with Watkins and Ings up front. Buendia and Bailey, tricky customers. In the middle, McGinn and Douglas Luiz, always really hard workers. It's going to be that midfield battle is going to be interesting, isn't it? I'm assuming Bentancur is still going to be out for this game, so I assume that it's going to be Bissouma and Højbjerg. And how do you think they're going to stack up against Douglas Luiz and McGinn?
I still think they stack up favourably. I know they struggled against Brentford, but against Brentford, it was a 3-on-2. I think if Unai Emery's smart, I think he plays a midfield three. I don't know how he fits it in, but I do think he brings in a third centre mid, like keeps Kamara, McGinn, and Luiz, and takes out one of Buendia or Bailey.
I mean, he could even,
or a striker even.
He could even leave Ings on the bench like he did against Liverpool and just play a 4-3-3 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would do if I was him, because I think he needs to win that midfield battle, and he needs to, that in terms of formation-wise, not necessarily personnel-wise, but in terms of formation-wise, you could get that is a weakness there for us. When we do get outnumbered, we do lack control. We tend to sometimes struggle to get close to the opposition, and especially when they got good technical players. So that's what I would do if I was doing Emre. If he was to keep with his 4-4-2. I think with the two in the middle, if that's just a match-up, I do back us to win that battle. And then all of a sudden, you've got 5 forward players, if you include the wing-backs, spreading the pitch very, very wide. And it's going to be very difficult for Aston Villa to deal with. So I do see the midfield battle being a big element to this game. And in my opinion, if Unai Emery is clever, that he would play midfield 3.
In terms of the next slide, where we've got the ones to watch, we've picked out Leon Bailey and Ollie Watkins. 3 goals each, with Watkins having 3 assists and Bailey having 2 assists. With Ollie Watkins, he's a bit of a strange player because he's a very streaky player, isn't he, where he can go on a form of scoring 2 or 3 games in a row, and then we won't see him for a couple of weeks. And I think he flatters to deceive a little bit. I think he's a really good player, Watkins. He just needs to find a bit more consistency to his game. Yeah,
I like him. He's big, he's tall, he's pretty quick. I don't think he has the best finishing ability. I think his finishing ability is quite average. Whenever he scores goals, it's usually his physicality that gets him in the scoring position, which isn't a problem. But I don't see him nestling shots from tight angles into the side netting very often. He's usually getting headers on goal, which is good. He's getting his physicality to get beyond defenders and get in behind. I don't think he's the best finisher though, but I do think he's a good physical striker who's quite a handful, and I think his build-up play is decent. He's good at bringing people into play. So I do think he's a good striker. I don't see him though being any better than a mid-table Premier League striker. I think he might have the odd season where he gets between 15 and 20, but I think that's going to be the exception rather than the rule, in my opinion. He's probably going to be like a 10-goal a season kind of striker. That's why I envisage Ollie Watkins, which is fine, which is good which is for a team like Villa, it's probably good to have a striker like that. But I don't see him being a potential top 6 striker, in my opinion, at the moment anyway, unless he develops a lot more.
With the physique that he has and with the aerial ability that he has, what's his hold-up play like, and how is he with bringing other players into play? Because I feel like that's like the strong part of his game.
Yeah, he's good. He is really good at that. He gets, as you say, 3 assists he's got this season. If you get the ball to his chest and he can control it and hold it up, and he's strong, so he can hold people off, and he's good at bringing players into place. And I think he plays better with a partner, with someone like Danny Ings. He can do the role up front by himself, but I don't think. I think his performances are better with a striker than by himself, in my opinion. Although he can do that job fairly well, but he's a strong lad, so he can be a real handful, and he makes good runs at the near post. He makes sharp movements, but I just don't think his finishing ability is top notch. That's what lets him down a bit, in my opinion.
Is it a case of, like, if you can keep Watkins, if we just say to Christian Romero, who's going to be a massive plus for us coming back this weekend, by the way, and Kutsi Romero, if you get him to just be so aggressive up against Watkins, don't let him bring the ball down, don't let him bring other players into play, then you can stifle Villa quite well.
Yeah, I think if you saw the game against Liverpool, they were getting some really good deliveries into Ollie Watkins, and if his finishing was a bit better, they probably would have got more goals than they did. But I wouldn't necessarily think just being aggressive against Watkins is what would do it for you, because I do think they've got some other good players, which I think are more important to stifle, in my opinion, than Ollie Watkins. But him being their main striker, if you stifle him, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for Aston Villa for sure. But Leon Bailey, for me, since Unai Emery's come in, and even just before then, he was showing flashes of the quality he showed in the Bundesliga. He's got a dynamite of a left foot if given the opportunity. He really does. And it's all about if he can find the space to run at players and get shots off, because if you allow him that, he's difficult to stop.
What's happened to Bailey, though? Like, he came with a big reputation from the Bundesliga. Obviously, he's scored a bag of goals, got a bag of assists. He hasn't really seemed to get in the team consistently enough and produce enough on the pitch that we know that he can. Yeah,
I mean, Bundesliga we've seen, I think maybe Timo Werner's case in point in this. The Bundesliga is a very open league. You get lots of attacking opportunities. You get lots of space to play. And every team, it seems, in the Bundesliga plays like high pressing, plays with a lot of risk.
They all score a lot and concede a lot.
Basically, everyone plays with the high line, and that suits someone like Leon Bailey and Timo Werner, using their pace, getting in behind, and getting finishing ability. Premier League's very different. It's a lot more physical. You've got players a lot nearer to you. You've got to be able to hold players off. You've got a lot less space to play in. Albeit there are some games where you do get space, but it's not as much as the Bundesliga. So he will be effective in a lot of games, but he's got to adapt his game. And I think his close control isn't so great. When he's looking to hold players off, I don't think he's the strongest. And that's led to a lack of effectiveness in a lot of Premier League games. But when he has had the opportunity to show off his left foot, when he has had the opportunity to get shots on goal from outside the box, he's shown he's still got that finishing ability. And if he can adapt his game to use his strength more and have a bit better close control, I do believe Leon Bailey could. I think in terms of the Villa squad, he's got one of the highest ceilings in that squad if he adapts his game. But right now, he's kind of struggling a bit to adapt to the Premier League, and that's a shame for him. Is this his first season or second season?
Second, I believe, yeah.
Second season.
Didn't they sign him last January?
No, they signed him in the summer, I believe.
In the summer. Yeah, so second.
Yeah, didn't really do it last season. But under Unai Emery, I think it's a clever move from Emery, what he's doing. He's putting him in a more central position up front, getting him in more areas where he can get shots on goal instead of being... Because I don't think he's much of a winger. He's more of a winger who cuts inside and shoots. He's not really a winger who puts crosses in the box as much, although he did put in a few good ones against Liverpool. But if you want to maximise his effectiveness right now, get him in central areas, get him running in behind, and getting in as many shooting positions as possible. And I think that's where you're going to get the best of him.
I'm looking at his stats now. I mean, for Bayer Leverkusen, he was getting... in his first full season there, 9 goals, 7 assists. Second season, 5 goals, 1 assist. Then 5 goals, 3 assists, and 9 goals, 8 assists. Last season for Villa, only 18 games he managed with 1 goal, 2 assists. And this season already, 3 goals and 2 assists in 15 games. So it's getting better and he is getting more used to the Premier League. But how do you see the game going on Sunday, and what's the score going to be?
I think we'll win. I think Unai Emery will get this team playing well, but I do think they've shown... I know they beat Man United, but in my opinion, they got quite fortunate in that game to win. I think, to be honest, I think they got a fortunate win against Brighton as well, and against Liverpool, you could argue that was probably their best performance, but they ended up being quite open and conceding a few goals and being profligate in front of goal. So I do see us conceding. I think Aston Villa have started, as in results-wise and confidence-wise, they've started well under Unai Emery. They haven't quite got it clicking just yet in terms of like getting the tactics ready, up to speed, and everything. So I do see us conceding with their talent, but I think we're going to have too much for them going forward. So I'm going to go 3-1 to Spurs, and hopefully I think the wide areas will be very important. Stretch the pitch as much as possible, in my opinion, and I think the gaps will start to open up in the central areas, and that's where we're going to make them pay. So I'm going for a 3-1 win.
Yeah, I'm going for 3-2 to Spurs. I think we will concede a couple of goals with the talent that Villa have, and we all know Spurs' defence is just not playing well at the moment. Very shocking. But I think Cuti Romero will come in, and hopefully we'll see the Cuti Romero that we saw at the World Cup, or the latter stages of the World Cup anyway, and it can help to stifle Villa a bit more. But I think it might take Cuti a couple of games maybe to get into the rhythm, and he's probably still in party mode after winning the World Cup. So we'll see what happens there. But I think it's going to be a classic ding-dong battle that we've seen with Spurs over the past 6 or 7 games. And I think we will get the 3 points, but I'm going to go 3-2 to Spurs. And hopefully we can go on a bit of a run. We just need to get 3 points. I don't care how it comes this weekend. Just get those 3 points, and let's go on a bit of a run now. But I'm going 3-2. My brother's going 3-1. I want to know your score predictions in the comment section below. We will be taking callers after the match preview as well, so link is in the community section if you're a gold member. So go scroll down the community section and click that link. Come and join us for a chat. But let's get into BetMate before we move on to the guests. And just to let you know, BetMate is a really fun to play fantasy gaming app. £450 guaranteed pot in the Tottenham Aston Villa League this weekend. The code for the league is FFTOTAVL. And if you want a free £5 and you're a brand new user, all you need to do is use the promo code WATTV5 and come take us on in the Tottenham Villa pot this weekend. But let's get into our individual teams, and we'll give you the reasoning why we've picked those teams. Let's start off with Sim's team, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I've gone for Lloris in goal because I think he's going to go straight back into the Spurs team, and I think I believe we're going to concede less than Aston Villa, and he might make a few saves. So I've gone for Lloris in goal. Back two of Perisic and Longley, both able to link up with each other, and Longley put in some beautiful crosses.
Great assist,
Brentford.
wasn't it?
He got a great assist nearly in the second one as well. Perisic as well, I thought was quite effective against Brentford, and I think him up against Ashley Young, I think could be good news for Tottenham. Midfield, I've gone for Kulusevski captain and John McGinn. I think McGinn makes quite a few tackles and he's a bit of a bull in the china shop, so I do think he can get some points. And Kulusevski, I think, is our creative hub. And then up front, Son and Kane. Who else with Kane vice captain?
All right, and now let's move on to my team. And I've picked Hugo Lloris in goal, like my brother said, back in the side this week, and I just think he's more likely than Martinez to make the clean sheet, albeit I don't think either of them will. But Lloris is always good for a couple of saves. In defence, I've gone for Perisic and Doherty. I think they're both going to start as wing-backs, and Perisic was really involved in the game at Brentford, and I thought he put in a really good display, putting in really good crosses. Doherty wasn't that great against Brentford, but I do expect him at home to have a much better performance. In the midfield, I've gone for Dejan Kulusevski as vice-captain, who I think is definitely going to have a few contributions in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of goals. In the midfield, I've gone for Højbjerg as well, who's very combative in the middle, and he's doing really well with his goal contributions at the moment. Got another goal at Brentford, and he's always good for his tackles and interceptions, which you get points for in this game. And then up front, I've gone for captain Harry Kane, who's the man in form at the moment, and alongside him, I've gone for Danny Ings, who was on the bench against Liverpool, but I expect him to start in this game, and he's always a goal threat. And I think he's got a fairly good record against Spurs as well in Danny Ings. So that's my team. That's Sim's team. Let us know if you're going to be taking us on in the comment section below, and let us know your teams, and look forward to taking your money this weekend. No, I'm joking. It's going to be a good fun playing this game. Always enjoy it.
We have some quotes from Antonio Conte coming out of the press conference. So first of all, He's talking about Rodrigo Bentancur confirming that the injury is worse than expected for Rodrigo Bentancur, and he isn't going to be available for today's game. He hasn't really confirmed when he is going to be available, but in better news, Romero is back and he is available for selection. So it sounds like he will be available for this game, which is very, very important in my opinion. And the sooner we get him back, the better, considering how we're defending at the moment. And he comes back after a great World Cup. He says on Bentancur will miss Villa. The midfielder will have an MRI to understand more about the injury. Conte claims he has been out for longer than expected, and questions about his recovery should be aimed at the club's doctors. Classic Conte.
Well, we actually heard that, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. We did hear it. We heard it a few days ago about Bentancur, and it turns out to be true, which is really, really bad news, unfortunately for Rodrigo. What else is he saying? He said on the 9-game-in-a-row problem of Spurs conceding the first goal, he said, for sure it's a strange situation to concede the first goal and go down in 9 games in a row. It's good our reaction to level the result. Many times we were good to win the game. We need to focus to start the game quickly and show more attention defensively and not give the opponent more opportunity to score. We spoke to the players. Maybe when you have many games in a row, you don't have the chance to work on the tactical aspect and the mental aspect, and maybe you lose something. On keeping Romero's feet on the ground, he said, from what I saw in the last few days in the training sessions, I've seen him with great focus, great desire to come back and play for us. For sure, I'm really happy for him, and it's important to have in our team 2 World Cup champions, but he has to know very well now starts the more difficult period for him, because expectation is going to become high for him. For this reason, he has to work even more and continue to work. He's been speaking on Clement Longley as well, whether he's going to keep him beyond his loan. He said Clement Longley is a really good player. We're talking about a player who plays 5 years for Barcelona. When you play so many years for this type of club, it means you're a very good player. He needed to put himself into a new challenge, and when I spoke to him in the summer, I was very clear with him. If you come with us and you deserve to play, you will play. And I said, you are a really good player with a good personality, and I can tell you it was a big, big surprise for me in a positive way, his attitude, for his commitment and for his behaviour. He is not 100% in training sessions. He is 120% if he starts or if he doesn't start. We are talking about a really good player, and our choice was really good. And asked whether specifically he's going to stay beyond his loan, I don't know about his contract. I can make evaluations from what I saw in training and on the pitch, and I can give my opinion, but then it's down to the club. On his centre-backs, he says, you know very well we played with Dyer, Kuti and Davis and Davis on the bench was usually Jaffet, Sanchez and Rodon. We sent Rodon to play and have more times this season, and we made a substitution with Longley. I think all these players have to play, and we work every day with these players. One player can be good in a good form, and another maybe he needed a bit of rest to recover well, because mentally he is a bit tired or physically. But I trust in my players who work with him every day to improve the situation. That's all he's been saying at the moment.
All right. Well, interesting comments there, but it's good to have Cuti Romero back, that's for sure. He's going to be a big plus. Seeing as Cuti Romero is back, what back 3 do you envisage coming into the game on Sunday?
Romero, Dyer, Longley.
You think it'll be those 3?
Should
Romero,
be, in
Dyer,
my
Longley.
opinion.
Would you like to see that, or would you like to see maybe a Longley in the middle and Davis on the left?
I would like to try that. I'd like to try Romero, Longley, Davis, but I reckon he's going to give Dyer a vote of confidence, in my opinion, because he trusts him. He's going to
a real vote of confidence, or the dreaded vote of confidence?
Well, by playing him, it's a real vote of confidence. Yeah. Only dreaded ones only go to managers, not players, in my opinion. So I think he's going to keep with Dyer. If he's good, look, if he wants him to sign a new contract, it means he believes in him.
True.
Not necessarily believes he's our centre back for the future, but he believes he's good enough and believes that he should be part of this Tottenham squad. And I don't think he's going to drop him after that mistake. And I think he's going to keep him, and he's going to play that back 3. But I personally would like to see Longley, Davis and Romero together and see how that performs, because we haven't seen that yet. And that logically could be a back 3 that works.
Well, we'll have to see how it plays out.
And also a bit from Paul O'Keefe on Spurs transfer in a budget in January. He says
Don't talk about transfers with the people we're about to got coming on.
That's why I'm bringing it up. He says, Paul O'Keefe says Tottenham have a budget of 30 million plus sales from January, he claims, and plus loans. And potentially loan deals wouldn't impact the 30 million budget.
Right. Great news.
What's 30 million in this day and age? It's
30 million is someone's right leg, pretty much.
Well, to be fair, Gakpo was about 40 million, wasn't he?
Yeah. No, the thing is right now with this the current climate of transfers, you can actually get really good players right now for not as much money as maybe it was a couple years back. And there are a lot of players with contracts running down, which we should be targeting because it's actually really good players for not as much as maybe they could have been a couple years back.
Undervalued by the market.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But let's bring on our first guest. Doesn't look like he wants to come on, but his name is Brian Daigle.
Oh,
right, Brian.
It was going all so well until you read that last bit by Paul O'Keefe. It was all going so well. Oh, mate, no, do you know what? I'm just going to touch on that a little bit because everyone knows how I feel, and it's pathetic. 30 million. We have 50 million left from that 150 still in the bank. Where's that? If it's 30 million plus sales, that's why we haven't tried to get Porro's release fee, which is 39.6. Why are we even looking at him? And yeah, it gets worse and worse, doesn't it? But I really, really wanted to try and steer away from talking about the parasite today. I'm parasited out for a little while, but we got a game coming on. It's pathetic. I can't go on anymore saying how stupid this ownership is, how pathetic the lies and the excuses are. And 30 million. There we go. We're going to have a bang in January, the big important transfer window. Moving on to Villa.
But just before we do, I mean, we know Paratici likes to do his loans to buys, and they're saying that's not going to impact anything anyway. So is it too much of a difference?
It is. When like I saw the I don't know if it was you or Ben or Sim that put the tweet out about saying the players that definitely need to be bought this winter and everything, and it's like, you know, that list you put. Obviously, we know we're not going to get all of them in one window. We know that, but it's getting to the point where the players that we need, like we were talking about yesterday, Ben, with the Incape and these players like the elite that we need for this defence, they're not going to cost 30 million. And you know what will happen? We're dilly and dally and try and haggle our way, and then some big fish that's going crazy at the moment. Simon just said Liverpool paid 37 for Gapco. Yeah, they paid 37 million, but they will then go pay 60, 70 million for this one, or 20, 30 million for that one. That's not their budget. That's just their first purchase before the window even opens. Put it this way, as Spurs fans, did you want to hear the news? Whether it's true or not, it's come from Paul O'Keefe, who is respectable, but obviously we don't know if it's official or not, so I'm not taking the pinch of salt. Do you reckon Spurs fans right now need to hear that the transfer budget is 30 million plus players out? But I thought these
and plus loans as well. And you got to remember that a lot of the players that we've brought in that have been really good for us, Kulusevski, Christian Romero, have all been loans to buy.
Yeah, it doesn't work every time though, Ben, does it? And put it this way, it's just not the message you want to hear right now. When like it or not, the pressure is being seriously ramped up on the board. It's seriously being ramped up. You don't want to hear this. This is where you wanted to hear we're injecting 150 million. And then it appears it's like, okay. But to hear what I still don't understand and why people won't pick up on this, there's 50 million sitting in the bank. There's 50 million of that 150 that we're yet to withdraw.
Not for 2 more days.
But somehow there's only now 30 mil.
Not for 2 more days.
Well, there you go. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. They come out and say 30 million when everyone knows that there's 50 million in the bank of that 150. So it's just another shambles and another. Well, it's just more petrol on the fire.
Brian, Ali Gold said yesterday that this January we're going to be targeting a right wing back and an attacking player, and then in the summer we're going to be targeting 2 centre backs, a goalkeeper, and a midfielder, I think he said it was. If that's the case, and if that was true, and we brought in good talents, would you be happy with that?
I would rather it was the other way round, that we brought in 2 centre-backs now and then targeted the other players you said, because we all know and we've all spoken about how the defence is a big issue. But if it was a Porro or a real quality right wing back, we all know how bad that issue is and has been since Kyle Walker left. And what was the other position you said, Ben? As well as the right wing back? For the second one you said?
Right wing back and forward player, attacker.
So,
yeah,
I mean,
winger or whatever.
Again, it'd have to be a player of huge quality, not another one for the. Let's wait and see what happens. We need genuine quality, and I've heard lots of people also say that January was for filler, and the summer was for filling out the squad and beefing it up, and January's to bring in the quality. We'll have to wait.
We're hearing a lot of conflicting things, aren't we, at the moment?
Yeah, that's what we've got to. I mean, I'm tweeting everything under the sun, just because I want to. But even I know these transfer rumours that come out from everywhere is probably 75% plus in the made-up speculation. Let's just do it, and I'm fully aware of that. But it's like you said, Simeon, we are just hearing 1 minute it was defenders, then it was attackers, then we're not going to do this, then we are going to do that, then we got this much, then we got that much. It's literally it's insane. Honestly, you can go and have a shower, come out the shower, and everything's changed. Everything's changed.
So having said that, then isn't it a time right now just to stay calm and just see what happens then, because we don't know what's going on?
Yeah. What Ben? Listen, you're right to an extent, but what you got to remember as well is people like myself and Stel, and I'm not going to go through the list of other staunch Levy out. As we said before, we've heard this all before. I've had to deal with this. I know everyone says, "Oh, it's a new manager, it's Conte, it's Paratici, it's going to be different." Well, they said that about Redknapp. They said that about Mitchell and Poch. They said that about Jose. They said that about Yol. They said that about Boas. They said that with Camoli. They said that with Baldini. They said, I've heard it all before. So that's the only reason. People that aren't as advanced or as far gone as I am on the Levy out
spectrum. People who aren't as fluent Levy as you.
Well, I mean, that I'm proud of that title, I have to say. I worked hard for it. What I will say, I understand where other people are sceptical, and there were a lot of people last January that were ready to say, right, I'm Levy out, and then obviously Kulusevski and Bentancur came in, it kind of reset the clock. And I understand that with people. I do understand that with people. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone can say what they like, and I respect that. But like I said, when people try to say to me, Brian, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about, Brian, you're negative, Brian, you're this, it's the fact that I've seen it repeat. And I've said to Ben, I've said this on your stream, I've said this to you privately, I've said this to a lot of people. Nothing would give me greater pleasure than to come on every single channel I go on and say, do you know what? Hands up, I got it wrong. I will do that with the greatest of pleasure, but I'm yet to do it. But anyway, Villa.
Yeah, let's talk about the game. And how are you feeling coming into the game? Cuti Romero is back. Lloris is probably going to be back in goal. How are you feeling coming into the game?
Those 2 bits of news are great. That really does fill me with a lot of positivity on the match wise. But I think the highlight of what Simeon read out by was it Conte's press conference? You said, Simeon, or was that Alistair Gold? Conte's press conference. Okay.
Conte's press conference, yeah.
Yeah. So that news about Bentancur scares the shite out of me, because when you hear that injury worse than expected, I start thinking of like Ollie Skip and things like that, where we think it's a few weeks and it could become, and we know how vital he is. And that partnership of Højbjerg and Basuma worries me. It really does. Like we saw against Brentford, when Basuma gets 90 minutes under his belt and plays in a 2, there's just something not right. But when he comes off the bench, he is really making an impact. And he had this month where the World Cup, so that worries me. But the fact Romero's back is huge. There's no getting away with it. Hugo Lloris back, brilliant. And hopefully that will galvanise the squad. So that's very optimistic.
Brian, you've been very critical of Eric Dyer. Does he start for you on Sunday?
not in a month of Sundays or when hell freezes over. I was speaking. I was speaking with Ben yesterday, and I was when we went outside. I was saying I would like to see what Ben mentioned. We were talking about it yesterday, weren't we, Ben? Romero, Longley, and Davies. And the only reason I say it as well is not because everyone's hating on Eric Dyer. And I don't understand the precedent this is setting. When you say you trust a player, and listen, Conte knows better than me, but when you trust a player, and time again, and this has been consistently over a period of games recently, this isn't just the odd mistake that has been costly. You say, oh, don't worry, you made a mistake, but you're going to play again because I trust you. That has got to set the wrong precedent to say, listen, you can fuck up. You can make as many mistakes, cost as many points as you want. Don't worry, I'm still going to play you. I'm still going to play. There has to be some kind of accountability for your actions. If a player isn't playing
what's
well...
he supposed to do, though, Brian?
Like I said...
in this game, fine. In this game, fine. But I'm saying in previous times where Romero's been out and stuff like that, you know, what else has he been able to do?
No, Ben, with that, you're totally right. If he's got no other option, then he's got to do what he does. And like I said, last season, to me, we missed Dyer when he was out injured more than we missed Romero when he was out injured. I think Dyer was when he went out last season, it was a big problem for us. And you can see what he was bringing to the table. But this season, you can see what he's not bringing to the table. And it's not about what do we do when he doesn't have the option. It's about what we do when he does have the options. And right now, he has the option to say, right, Eric, listen, I've got my defenders back. You have been making mistakes that have cost us, genuinely cost us. You look at Liverpool, you look at Newcastle, you look at Brentford, just 3 off the bat. I think he made a couple against Leeds, but I did the watch along with Nick. There's mistakes there big time. You've got to say, well, to shore up that defence.
In terms of wing backs, Brian, who would you like to see on either flank?
I would like to see what you said. I think Matt Doherty, you spoke about him. I actually think against Brentford, he did well. I think he did well. Listen, we know he's not going to be outstanding every single game, but he links so well with Kulusevski. He played a big part in the assist that getting that ball to Kulusevski, the 1-2 they did. And I don't think you can look any further than Perisic on the left wing back. He looked at that's it.
All right. Apologies for some technical difficulties. We are back live. Can you put it on this screen, please, Cleaver? Brian, we're talking about Aston Villa on Sunday.
Yep.
In terms of Villa, the opposition themselves, since Gerrard's left, what do you make out of them since Unai Emery's taken over, and are you worried about them?
It's a good question. Against Liverpool, I like what they were trying to do in the second half. I missed the first half. I like what they were trying to do, but the game looked like it. You know what I liked about it is, I think with Kulu's son came back and back at home, and obviously Perisic and Romero back, will be a lot more balanced, and we're probably going to be going forward a lot more. And I've got great faith in the attack. I just don't in the defence at the moment.
Score prediction, Brian?
2-2,
Desmond, mate.
Oh, 2-2 you said. Yeah. All right. Who's going to get our goals?
2-2 in my head, 3-2 Tottenham with my heart. On both sides, Harry Kane either a brace for my head or a hat-trick for my heart.
All right.
And I think the hat-trick, sorry, Ben, just quickly, I think a hat-trick ties him with Greavesy, doesn't it?
I think he's 5 behind, I believe, no?
I think against Brentford it went down to 4. I can't remember.
Oh, so he's 4 behind,
That's answer my own question. So a hat-trick won't do. Jesus, God, I have to do a bloop for every single time. So there you go. Brian can't work out 4 minus 3. So, guys, listen, if I don't get to speak to you, I'll speak to you guys. But everyone in the chat, listen, have a very happy and healthy new year. Whatever you do, eat, drink, be merry, be safe. And as always, Levy out.
Big up, Brian.
Safe,
Speak
Brian.
to you later, mate. We've got a few super chats to get through. Azad Hamid saying, if Conte wants to keep Dyer, he's got to go.
Got to go. That's quite extreme.
That's a bit extreme, isn't it? And there were a couple more, but I've lost them now.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've got them. But one of them, I think, was on the lines of saying that stay positive, wait for some transfers to come through, and we'll see where we go from there.
Spurs fans aren't good at doing that.
No, they're not. But let's bring on our next guest, Mr. Stelios, Tottenham away. You all right, Stel?
Hello.
How you doing, mate?
Hello?
Yeah, not too bad. I can hear myself, by the way, so don't know what's going on. I'm all right. Another big transfer window coming up, probably the biggest we've ever had, I think, in the club's history.
Yeah, I mean, we say that every window, though, don't we?
No, this is different. This is very different. I've never seen so much Enoch out, Levy out, and for there not being this backlash in the comments and in social media conversations. There's a lot of people just not even commenting on it. Normally you get some, oh, you guys hate Spurs, you're negative, go support another club. Not really hearing as much of that this time. I think this is very different.
People just, well, I'm guessing, waiting to see what happens at the moment with the window fast approaching. For me, I have to say, you know
what's going to happen.
I think with how clubs are performing around us, in terms of how they're acting right now in the transfer market and how we usually act in the transfer market, I think you'd be silly not to be a bit concerned with how things could very well logically play out right now, and out of Tottenham being left behind. But at least we got to give them a chance to do something before we say before we complain, or not. Or are you saying that we should start putting pressure immediately on?
So, I've always been Conte in. I've always defended him at every opportunity. I jump in, I defend him, I explain his tactics, I explain the substitutions. I have never backed down from defending Conte. But what is the reality right now? When we got top four, we were on a high and we were flying. He turned the season around completely with a bit of luck that Man United and Arsenal didn't go into the transfer window and strengthen in January when we did. Okay. In the summer, they should have sat down with him and said, you've got us top four against all the odds. We've signed a couple of good players in January and let's sign a long-term contract and put a real plan together. Every single journalist, Alistair Gold, Michael Bridge, your channel, his channel, their channel, my channel, everyone told us this is the big summer window. 150 million, war chest, blah, blah, blah. This is the moment that Tottenham changed their ways. We went into that summer window. We did not back Conte. I'm not having it. Jed Spence, club signing. Clement Longley, a stopgap. We're the only club that does a stopgap. Perisic, 34 years old. He's had a good season. He can't defend. He can't recover. That's not the answer. And you look at it and you think, where was this big window that everyone promoted? So for me, looking back at it now, we didn't secure him to a long-term contract. We didn't back him in that summer, that big summer window that everyone told us was going to happen. And where do we find ourselves? A 6-month break called a World Cup. Sit down and get the contract sorted. We're going into January. We don't know who the manager is going to be in May. How can you, as a chairman, back Conte when you don't even know he's going to be here in May? Why am I going to go and spend loads of money on players that potentially the manager won't be here in May, so the new manager might not want these players, and we rinse and repeat. But if you're Conte, why should I sign? I want assurances. If you're not going to give them to me, I'm not signing. So how is there any plan or strategy going into this January window?
I think
so
he makes some good points. You make some good points, still.
I'm still Conte in, but I've given up Ben and Sim. I don't think this season's going to give us anything good.
But where does it lead?
That contract was key.
Does it lead to Conte leaving?
I don't think Conte's here next season. I don't think he's here next season.
Yeah,
because he would have signed the contract.
I kind of agree with you, Stel. But we've seen Conte in the past wait until the end of seasons to sign that contract to say whether he stays or goes. I don't see this being any different, but I personally don't think he will be here next season. I think we're going to start next season with Pochettino as our manager, and I think that's just I've been saying that for quite a while now.
But if that is reality, then surely we should just cut our losses now and not waste any time. Isn't it a waste of time if he's going to leave?
Right. It's been a waste of time for 22 years. The day we sat Pochettino and didn't rebuild, they should have gone. Their time was up. They've taken the piss out of us for 4 years, and we're going into this window without knowing who the manager's going to be in 5 months' time. And you're right. We should sack him now if we're not going to back him. But Levy can't. If he sacks Conte now, he's toast. The fans will absolutely tear him apart. So he's going to do what he always does. Drag us along, tow us along. But this is why the ENIC out and Levy out have got to get on the case now, which is why we're doing it, is to stop him dragging it out to the end of the season and saying, it's all right, here's Parch. We don't want that. We don't want him to get that chance. It's so now, for me, it's now. I want him out. I want him out.
I agree, but if we can both agree, right, that it's very unlikely that we're in the short term anyway, that ENIC are going to go anywhere, right? We can both agree with that. No, not saying you have to be happy with them. I'm just saying we can both agree that ENIC are probably going to be here for at least, whatever, another 6 months at least, right, until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Probably a lot longer than that, probably another few years, but whatever, at least, until they get a buyer. Maybe. What would you want ENIC to do now in this situation, given what you've just laid out? What are you calling for them to do? Back Conte? Is that what you're calling for them to do?
100%. 100%. I don't want to hear Eric Dyer staying. I don't want to hear Emerson Royale's going to play for Tottenham. I want Cess, Davies, Dyer, Sanchez, Doherty, Emerson, Brian Hill, Mora. Gone. I want to see real players coming into this club that are going to compete with the biggest and the best in England. Otherwise, what was the point of that stadium? Why have we got a training facility that's state of the art that doesn't produce a winning team? Academy players that come straight in and show us why they've been academy players. Do you know what really bothers me more than anything else? When I hear fans say to me, but look how they've progressed the club. Look how far they've taken the club. Guys, they haven't progressed it. Let me explain. Trophies haven't progressed it one bit. Bringing in managers and progressing the football team. We've gone through 14 managers. 14. The recruitment. We've gone through 6 sporting directors stroke scouts. They've all been fired. They've all been useless. So that's 14 managers plus 6 footballing directors, head scouts. 14 plus 6 is 20. They've been here for 22 years. Divide one by the other, that's an average. We hire and fire an expert every year and then sack them. They're all disasters. And then you look at the youth. Go back to when ENIC and Levy took over. We had youngsters like Bostock and Blondell, Awful. 10 years later, they've progressed us. Kevin Wimmer, Rohan Ricketts. Oh, but they've progressed us. Let's go to now. Jack Clark, Pape Sarr. Where's the progression? What have they actually progressed, guys? We got top 4 10 years ago with Redknapp. How have we progressed? They haven't progressed us one bit other than that big shiny UFO called a stadium.
What European football? We get a lot more European football now than we did for the 20 years previous.
Have we got an invisible European qualification trophy to go with our invisible top 4 trophies?
Yeah, but regardless of if we've got an invisible European trophy or whatever, that's still progression, seeing as where they bought the club from and where we are now. You can't say the club hasn't progressed at all.
Once we got Europe with Harry Redknapp, we got Champions League.
Even getting into the UEFA Cup under Martin Jol was a big progression.
Ben, Sim, once we became regulars in Europe, we stopped. Yes, maybe the first 10 years you can argue they progressed it. But we've stood still since. We have not budged. We haven't. We don't win trophies. We don't bring through quality young players. We get into Europe for what? To just stay there. We haven't discovered how to bring in a manager that works for us and stick by him. We can't hold on to sporting directors and scouts long enough. There's no progression for the last 10 years. And where are we now? With a manager who hasn't got a contract past May, and we have no idea what's going on with the transfer window. It's the same thing again.
I feel like, Stel, they have progressed the club up until that Champions League final. And then from that Champions League final, we have been going backwards pretty much. I think they progressed the club up until that point.
I feel like they don't know what to do. I feel like if you think about the landscape of football since they've taken over, how much it's changed. Think about this: in the end of next season, it'll be 10 years since Tottenham appointed Pochettino. 10 years. You think about what we did when we helped hire Pochettino, right? And you know, buying the young players and having that way of working. It is so much more difficult to do that kind of thing now. Yet they've wanted to progress it further than that, but they don't know how to act like that. They only know how to act in their own way. And I think the landscape of football has changed, and they haven't been able to keep up.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Okay, sell the club. Give it to someone that can. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but you have to. But it's not as simple as that. Let's be honest. Yeah, I mean, because we have to find a buyer. There has to be a £1 billion deal to go with it. You know what I mean?
Sim, no, sorry. There's many ways you can sell a club. You can sit there and wait for someone to come and knock on the front door. You can do what Sir Alan Sugar did and go and speak to all your wealthy, high net worth friends and find a buyer, which is what he did. And Joe Lewis has got a lot of wealthy friends. You can do what we've done with the stadium naming rights, appoint a broker to find a buyer, or you could do what Chelsea did, which is what I said all along. Put the club up for sale. As soon as the Cronkies were under pressure, all the Arsenal fans were protesting. What happened? The owner of Spotify, he came out and said, I'll buy Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal fan. I've got the money.
But it didn't happen,
Cronky
did it?
absolutely cracked himself. He cracked himself, Cronky. I'm going to back Arteta. We don't do it. We don't put the club up for sale. We don't protest to cause a stir. We sit here and say, yeah, will Eric Dyer sign a new contract? I wonder if we'll sign Milenkovic. I wonder if £30 million is enough. We just take it. We just accept it. And then we come up with excuses like,
yeah, but still, that's an individual situation. Look at Manchester United. They've been protesting for years against the Glazers. Absolute years against the Glazers. The Glazers, supposedly put the club up for sale. Have they sold the club as a multi-billion-pound buyer come and bought Manchester United? No, because it's not as easy to do.
But have they put it up for sale? Have they?
Those are the rumours.
That's what they say.
Exactly. Rumours. We know Abramovich put the club up for sale? Because he was forced to. So we know that's a fact. If Tottenham Hotspur came out and said, we are officially putting the club up for sale, we want someone to come in and take it, and it was a public announcement on Sky Sports, I guarantee you someone would come forward. There's more billionaires today than ever before. Like you said, the landscape's changed. If they're not going to keep up, then sell it. Otherwise, they've got to do what Sava said the other day when he was debating with Sim. Hit the reset button. But the only way to hit the reset button is Enoch and Levy leaving. That is the reset. In my opinion.
Well, look, Stel, we can sit here and debate if Enoch are going to sell, what they should do till the cows come home. But we do have a game to talk about on Sunday. Aston Villa at home. How are you feeling coming into this one?
I'm not confident. I think for me, guys, is I just don't know what we're going to get. We're probably going to be 1-0 down at half time. Second half, we're going to rally, get a draw, maybe win 2-1. I don't think we'll lose. I think worst case, we draw. If they go with the 4-4-2 and we go with our 3-4-3, which I think we will, because if Bentacle's injured, we're not going to play with the three-man field. Then the way we win this game is we need someone in the middle that can take on a player, because a 4-on-4 matchup means someone in that midfield has to take on a player to then create the overload. Or Kane drops deep to make a 5, and then we can progress. I don't think this is a game that's going to be won in the wide areas because of the way the systems will be lined up. I think this game will be won in the midfield. And it depends whether or not one of the front three drops into the middle to support. That's where I see the game changing. But I'm not worried about Villa going forward, but I'm not confident with us at the back. So I think this is going to be... It's either 1-1 or 2-1 Spurs. We won't lose. I don't think we'll lose.
What is it about Spurs over the past 6 or 7 games? Why do we start games so bad and then end games so well? Why is it such a pattern every single week? The same thing happening.
Jesus, does anyone know the answer to this? Part of me thinks that other teams, they come at us because they sense we're vulnerable at the back, and we end up kind of dropping deeper and absorbing it. But if you think about it, he got all the players in early to have that pre-season, to work on fitness. And you have to say, as much as we might not like watching it, we must be one of the fittest teams in the last 20, 25 minutes of games. We look our best in the last 25 minutes. I remember the Liverpool game, and Liverpool's a really fit side. That second half against Liverpool, we were really good. We were unlucky not to get a point. So I think we're geared up to show our fitness towards the latter part of games. Why we're not starting quick, though, I don't know. I've got no idea. I really don't have any ideas on this. None.
I think the coaching staff are also lost for words, to be honest, and not just you. Can I ask you this as well, Stel? We had Sava on the other day, and he was calling... when he said for a massive reset, he included Conte in that, and he actually had a lot of criticism for Conte, calling him a dinosaur, stubborn, thinks that he's past his best. What do you think of those kind of comments on Conte? Do you from what you see at Tottenham, even though we've had our struggles, do you believe tactically we're still in a strong setup?
Yes, that's why we're top 4. The way I look at it is, he's not a dinosaur, but he is stubborn. But he's stubborn for a reason, because he's a winner. I'll explain. When Pep Guardiola went to Manchester City, the owners of Manchester City would have sat there and said, right, what is it you do? I do tiki-taka. Okay, well, Here's the players. Do tiki taka. No, I can't. These players aren't fit for it. They spend money, bring in tiki taka players. Bang. Klopp goes to Liverpool. What do you do, Klopp? It's called Gengen press. All right. Here's some players. Can you do Gengen press? No. That's why he got rid of every single player. Only one lasted. Built his Gengen press squad. Won everything. Conte comes to Spurs. So what do you do, Conte? I play with attacking wing backs that split the centre backs. Get the ball in the box. That's my style. Okay, well, here's some players. Can you do it? No, they can't do it. Do we back him? No. We say you got to change your system, change your formation, stop playing this player, stop playing that player. Who's that on? Either you've recruited the wrong manager or you're not going to support the manager. Either way, this is not on Conte. This whole argument about why he doesn't play Jed Spence is where he's stubborn. But I get it. Because if he plays Jed Spence and he never wanted him, what message does that send to the board? I will play whatever you give me. So that means you're giving them the onus to do it again. To go and meddle in the transfers, buy what they want, not what the manager wants. By not playing him, he's sending a message. You can buy whoever you want. I'm not playing them. And then you can answer to the fans when they say, why isn't Spence playing? So he's digging his heels to send a message. Elite managers are stubborn. They don't bend for anyone. You do it their way or get rid of them. That's why Pep's a winner, Mourinho's a winner, Klopp's a winner, Ancelotti's a winner. They've got their ways. That's why they're winners. Like, you've got a winning formula for We Are Tottenham TV. You've got loads of subscribers, loads of members, people call in. Are you going to change your show because I'm telling you, can you do it my way? No.
Depends how ferociously you call for us to go.
Why have our managers got to do it?
No, I hear that. What would you say to the fan? What would you say to fans who complain about sometimes the football not being good enough and that kind of stuff? ENIC out, Levy out.
Fair enough, still, but you look at teams like Newcastle, who I would say we've got a better team than Newcastle. They've got players that don't get in our team in a certain extent. How can Newcastle be where they are right now with Eddie Howe playing the football that they are playing with the squad that they do have?
I think it's a number of things. Okay, with Newcastle, first of all, I think their recruitment has been better than ours. Sven Botman is better than any defender we've got, maybe Romero. So they're signing Sven Botman, we're signing Clement Longley. Their recruitment is better. Guimaraes walks into Spurs. Trippier is better than any right back we've got. Their recruitment is better. Secondly, they haven't had to deal with the number of games that we have to deal with. We constantly have to rotate, shuffle the pack, midweek, this cup, Europe, and Champions League is the elite level. Premier League. So we've got more games to deal with. They can just focus on the Premier League. Some people will say, but your job is to be able to rotate. Yeah. You need a squad for that. We haven't got a squad. We've never had a squad. We've just got a starting 11. And finally, I think that it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. They're in that wave. We were in that wave last season with Conte. Remember that amazing run we went on to get top 4? Mm-hmm. It was hungry. It was different. Kulusevski burst on the scene. Bentancur was there. All right, the honeymoon's over now. Let's see next season when the honeymoon's over for Newcastle. But you know, they're going to back the manager. That's the difference. So I think it's a number of things. And hats off to Eddie Howe. He's doing a great job. He really is. But I remember when Spurs only played one game a week. We blitzed it. We had the best stats, the most number of wins in a row for a period of time. So
yeah, we had more points than City and Liverpool over that period, I think.
Beat City, beat Liverpool. We put a lot of teams to bed. But I just think that it's not one factor. It's multiple things that have allowed Newcastle to push on. I don't think we pushed on, guys. We've done it again. Look, we've done it again. We got top 4, and it's an opportunity to say, right, let's pull away. Did we properly back Conte? No, I'm not having it. I'm not hearing any Spurs fan tell me we backed him properly. Number 2, did we secure the long-term services of Conte, calm it down, give everyone peace of mind that there's a plan? No. If we did that, Harry Kane would have signed a new contract potentially. We don't even know what he's going to do in the summer. And we've been a bit unlucky in the sense that I don't know what's happened, guys. I'm not inside the club, but Heung-min Son is having a shocking season by his standards. Some
He's
people
only scored
might
in
say,
one Premier League goal, one Premier League game.
yeah, I mean, he's so crucial to what we do. Kane and Son are key. If one of them dips, we're feeling it. So I think whatever's happened to Son, maybe he needs a change of scenery. Maybe he's been here too long. It happens. To be at a club for so long and not win anything, being such a great player, it's gonna come back and, not bite you, but it's gonna play on your mind.
It's going to eat
I honestly think right now, if we don't back Conte, if we don't go all out for him, bye Kane, bye Son, I think Kulusevski will question his future. He's got no emotional attachment to Spurs. I think Romero is a World Cup winner. He's got a taste for glory. Is he going to stay here and watch the best players leave? This January, guys, is the biggest January we've ever had, ever, for so many reasons. If you don't back Conte, I think it's game over.
All right,
Fair
Stel.
enough, Stel.
Big up, Stel. Thanks for coming on today, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
If you game on Sunday, I'll see you there.
Yeah,
See you
big up.
game. Nice one, Stel.
Big up.
Cheers,
Yeah,
Stel.
make some good points.
Yeah, definitely some good
Make some good
points.
points.
Definitely some good points, and it's points that we can all appreciate and I think agree with as well. But there are some super chats to get through.
You want me to get,
Yeah, I don't have them here.
Philo123 Coy says, could you put Tanguy right centre, I'm guessing it's Tanganga right centre back, Romero centre back, and Longley left centre back?
I'm not sure about Tanganga, man. I thought it was another poor display, to be honest, on against Brentford.
He needs to prove himself a bit more to get us some playing time.
Yeah.
Neville Mergen says, Ben and Sim hope to take a pic with you guys. My son and I are coming to South Africa for the game on the 15th of Jan, which is Northampton Derby, I think. Will be great if we can meet. You guys are legends supporting this club since 1985. Big up to you, Neville.
Yeah, it'd be great to meet up, mate.
100%. Brian Churnett, big up to Grandpa. He says no businessman would say what they have to spend, so the report, Brian, was naturally just a negotiation position. Yeah, you could very well be right. There's no reason to believe that, to think that the reports are.
Yeah, but the way
big
that
in-
they were talking about the 150 million, I mean, I'm no genius at finances or anything like that, but I believe that the way they did it and they were buying the shares and whatever like that, they had to declare that money coming into the club. It was, I think it was a law that they had to declare it.
Yeah.
So that's the money he was talking about, right?
Was he not talking about what Paul O'Keefe was saying?
Oh, right, maybe that. Okay,
Maybe that.
If that's
I don't know.
fair
It
enough.
could be either way. Neville Mergen attend says Stelios is an Arsenal fan or Spurs fan, so negative. No, I think Stel made some good points today on the call, to be fair. I think he was being... when it comes to the whole Enoch out stuff, there's a lot of frustration around the fan base. I understand that. For me right now, it's like... I think the message sometimes has to change. Not necessarily that I'm happy with the ball, because I'm not, and I'm frustrated with them, but we're not going to get them out right now. So we need to push them to do things that they can do, which is spend more back onto all these kind of things. But trying to get them out isn't going to happen right now.
Yeah, I agree. And look, everyone knows our feelings and what we've said in the past about Enoch, about Levy.
I mean, I do want them out.
Being at protests. Look, of course we do. But the fact of the matter is that it's not as easy as to push ownership out as it was when we pushed Sugar out and stuff like that. we've been to protests, we've organised protests, and we didn't get numbers on the floor. We didn't get people, enough people backing us, and enough people to come along. And you see all these noises on social media, and yeah, it might be louder now than it was then, but it's incredibly difficult to get someone, first of all, to put the club up for sale, and then second of all, to bring someone in. And not only do you have to bring someone in, but you've got to bring the right person in as well, and the right person to buy the club. I mean, there's so many moving parts, and it's so difficult to get it spot on. What happens if they put the club up for sale, and then you get someone even more frugal than ENIC coming in? Because at the end of the day, unless you bring in a proper Spurs supporter that is going to buy the club, you're going to get someone that's just going to be in it for the money.
Correct. Or you bring or a state.
Yeah.
Or a state
Or that.
consortium or something like that. And then you're just in, then you've just hit the jackpot. But like, do we want that? Is that what we want? I don't know.
I'll take it.
There you go.
Any more?
Nope.
All right, that's it. All right, now it's time. Is this the last caller of the day? Last caller of the day. KPV.
You
Come on,
saved the
Carl.
best till fucking last. About time.
Language.
I
How
tried
you
to
doing,
come on early
KPV?
this week. What's
What'd you
up,
say?
man? I tried to come on the other day, but the signal wasn't working. So I had to...
You're here now. You're here now. That's all that matters.
What's up, Ben? Anyway, I called you out yesterday, mate, on WhatsApp, and you're not going to stay unbeaten, mate, because you and I were
I
not
don't care
done yet.
what you say.
So what, man? You owe me one, mate, and I want
I owe
what's
you
coming
what?
to me.
What do I owe you, KPV?
You owe me a rematch, mate, because on my birthday you cheated, and
How did I
you
cheat?
got lucky. You
How did
still
I
cheat
cheat?
on FIFA.
How did
You
I
cheat
cheat?
on FIFA.
How did
You
I
cheat on
cheat?
FIFA.
How did I cheat?
Dickhead. Dickhead, I'm serious, man. You don't cheat on my birthday, you still cheated, and
How did I cheat?
because, like, the controls or something, you probably had the worst
Yeah,
team.
he's
That's
always
what
fiddling with them
team.
controls. He is.
And-
He is. He changed
and,
your controls
like-
online. He did it.
Let me mention something to you, boys, before we start. And let me mention something to you quickly, yeah? Let me talk to you. Yeah? Like, I wasn't given the Emirates Stadium. EA were the ones that gave it. I wasn't given it. EA gave it. I didn't buy the Emirates Stadium, so you lot are lucky. But, like, I don't understand why you had a go at me for playing at the Emirates. I didn't buy it. EA were the ones that gave it to me. Like, so I can also play at the Bernabeu, not just Amsterdam. So whatever stadium you mention, I can play at. I choose. So whenever you have spare time, you two, one of you, I want Sim, because him and I haven't played. I like you want me to play Brian Daigle, Ben, because even though he doesn't know the controls, doesn't know what button to press, I'll still beat him. Like the account is yours on Xbox as it is, Ragnamon, because you two use it whenever. But like we'll get to that sometime. But first off, I just want to say a big, massive thank you to everyone who supported me this whole year. Like they all know what I've been going through. Like they know what I told everyone before. But just a thank you to everyone who supported me through the whole year. And like, hope you all had a good Christmas. I did. Like, I saw Avatar, so big up everyone. And like, I've been ENIC out since 2001, as I said on Tottenham on tour.
You were ENIC out the year that they bought us.
And Levy out, yeah, 2001. And I said to Brian Daigle and Ben Kaufman that they should have blocked he shall not be named transfer, but apparently it was Sugar that didn't block it. Like, this is why we won't win anything. Well, those idiots are at the club. I've been saying it to Danny, and he's been saying it. We ain't win anything. Well, those jabronis are at the club. Get ENIC and Levy out. I want it done. When they go, I can just come on here and tell everyone, I was right. We were right. Get out of our club and get out. It's that simple. Get someone else to replace them. Like Gary Mabbott, Glenn Hoddle, they can do a better job. Like, I want them out. So get them out of the club, and we can start being successful. Like, it's what we want. Stop rewarding failure, and that big bald head is the problem. We haven't won anything.
Talking about bald heads, where's your bald head gone?
Oh, you think I look like he shall not be named? Like, I don't think so, mate. It's Daniel Levy, mate. But, like,
But
yeah.
KPV, let's talk about football. Let's talk about the game on Sunday. How'd you see it going?
I'm going to agree with Stelios. I'm not confident. Like, every time we play Villa, we always seem to beat them. But they did beat us at the end of the 2021 season when fans did come back and we still lost. Like, Reguilon own goal. Bergwijn did put us ahead, but then he scores that own goal. Reggie and then Watkins. Like, Villa have only won at White Hart Lane 2 times. 2015 under Tim Stewart, former player and manager Spurs, and Dean Smith. So 2 times they've won there, but their record is poor. Like, Villa have got Danny Ings, who always seems to turn up. I do not like him, but if he starts, we're screwed. Like, I want to win. Like, they're not been that great, Villa. Shit team. Since they came back, they've just not been that great. Like, I just want to beat them. Like, I wanted to win Monday to end off 2022, but look how that turned out. Why didn't we get a pen? It was just ridiculous, man.
Score prediction, KPV?
Score prediction. I done it as you guys don't predict the Prem. I said 3-1, but yeah, my head says 4-1, but my heart says we're going to draw 4-all, like we did years ago.
But you're going to go for 3-1.
Yeah, but 3-1. Then gone for draw, I hear.
No, 3-1.
Ben went for draw then. Whatever.
No, I went for 3-2.
Fair enough, whatever. But Tim's now ahead of you and predict the Prem. So last season Tim won it. Can Tim regain his crown, or can Ben win it since 2021? So who's going to win? We'll find out. But I've already done my predictions. And Starman, I went for Mo Salah tonight. He's playing. So good luck, everyone, and make sure to do your teams before the deadline, because apparently we get an extra wild card already activated. So good luck to everyone. And as always, Levy out, KPV, Brian Dackel, Benji and Sim in.
Big up,
KPV.
Big up, KPV. We'll speak to you soon, my friend. And let's hope for 3 points this weekend.
Let's hope so,
Happy
man.
New Year,
Come
Carl.
on, Happy New Year. Come on. I'm off to
Big
this
up.
2 letters.
All right, I think that is all we have time for today. Conte's press conference is on its way to you guys, so check the channel out for that. Tomorrow is match preview and predicted lineup, and you're also going to get a Tottenham update from us today. And then obviously Sunday you're going to have Brian and Barry in the studio with you on New Year's Day. Me and Sim will be in the stadium grabbing all the action for you guys. But Happy New Year to everyone out there. Hope you have a good one, and we'll see you in the new year. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.